Hello, everybody. It is so wonderful to be here with you today. I want to talk about something that is so fundamental to how we experience our lives, something that, once you see it, you can't unsee it. I'm talking about the laws of life. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Laws sound so rigid, so restrictive. But what I've come to understand through my own journey and from talking to thousands of people is that these aren't rules meant to confine us. They are principles like gravity that are always at work, whether we are aware of them or not. Understanding them is like being handed a map to your own life. It doesn't tell you where to go, but it shows you the terrain. Imagine for a moment that every single challenge you face, every setback, every moment of confusion, isn't just a random event happening you. What if it's life speaking you? What if it's a signpost, a lesson, a guide? When we become aware of these underlying laws, we start to see the patterns. We begin to understand the language of our own existence. That's when the real magic happens. The very things that once felt like obstacles, the struggles that we thought would break us, suddenly reveal themselves as opportunities. They become the stepping stones on our path to becoming more of who we were always meant to be. This journey is about moving from being a passenger in your life to being the driver. It's about taking the wheel with intention, with wisdom, and with a deep sense of your own power. Today, we're going to walk through some of these incredible laws together. We're going to unpack them, look at them, and see how they show up in our everyday moments. My greatest hope is that by the end of our time together, you'll have a new lens through which to view your world. One that empowers you to turn every single experience into a chance for growth, for joy, and for a deeper connection to your own magnificent destiny. This is going to be an aha moment-filled day. I can just feel it. So, let's start with the very first law, one that I believe is life's way of looking out for us. It's called the law of warning. Have you ever had that little feeling in your gut? That tiny voice that whispers, maybe don't do that or pay attention to this? That, my friends, is the law of warning in action. It's not a loud, clanging alarm bell, not at first. It's a subtle nudge, a gentle tap on the shoulder. It's that friend who casually mentions something that gives you pause, or that unexpected bill that makes you realize you need to look at your finances. It's life's first attempt to get your attention, to guide you away from a bigger problem down the road. The universe is always communicating with us, trying to help us navigate our path with the least amount of pain. These warnings are its first and kindest messages. They are the feathers before the bricks. Think about a time you ignored that little feeling. Maybe you took a job even though something felt off during the interview, or you stayed in a relationship long after you knew deep down that it wasn't right for you. What happened? Often, that gentle nudge you ignored eventually turned into a much louder, more difficult situation. That quiet whisper can become a shout if we don't listen. The key here is awareness. It's about learning to tune into the frequency of your own life. It requires us to slow down enough to actually hear the whispers. When you feel that sense of unease, don't dismiss it. Don't just brush it aside because it's inconvenient. Instead, get curious. Ask yourself, what is this feeling trying to tell me? What is the lesson here for me to learn? Honoring these small warnings is an act of self-love and self-respect. It's telling the universe, I'm listening, I'm paying attention. When we learn to heed these initial signs, we can avoid so much unnecessary suffering. We can course correct before we've gone miles down the wrong road. It's the difference between noticing a small leak under the sink and dealing with a flooded kitchen. Both will get your attention, but one is a minor inconvenience, while the other is a major crisis. The law of warning invites us to deal with the leak while it's still just a drip. It's a gift, a true grace, that allows us to walk our path with more ease and more wisdom. So I ask you, what is your life whispering to you right now? Now, this next one gets me so excited because it's all about the incredible possibilities that are available to every single one of us. It's the law of opportunity. I truly believe that the universe is a field of infinite potential, and opportunities are constantly flowing towards us all the time. They don't just show up for the lucky people. They are here for you, for me, for everyone. The real work, the real challenge, is learning to recognize them when they appear. So often, they don't come dressed in flashing lights and a big announcement. They show up disguised as hard work, as a conversation with a stranger, or even as a failure. Think about it. How many times have you looked back on your life and realized that a moment you thought was a setback was actually the very thing that pushed you onto a better path? That job you lost that led you to discover your true passion? That heartbreak that opened you up to a deeper kind of love? Those are opportunities in disguise. The law of opportunity teaches us that our perception is everything. If we are walking around with our heads down, focused only on our problems and our limitations, we will miss the open doors all around us. We have to lift our heads, open our eyes, and be willing to see what is possible. Success doesn't just happen by chance. It happens when preparation meets opportunity. You have to do your part. This means staying curious, learning new things, and being open to new experiences. It means being willing to step out of your comfort zone, even when it's scary. When you are actively engaged in your own growth, you start to vibrate at a different frequency. You become a magnet for the very things you desire. It's like tuning your radio to a specific station. Suddenly, you can hear the music that was playing all along. You start to see the coincidences and lucky breaks for what they truly are, the universe responding to your readiness. So the invitation here is to cultivate an attitude of expectancy. Wake up each morning and ask the question, where will my opportunities show up today? Look for them in the unexpected places. See every conversation as a potential connection, every challenge as a potential lesson, and every ending as a potential new beginning. The law of opportunity isn't about waiting for something to fall into your lap. It's about actively participating in the dance of life, knowing with full faith that the music is always playing and there is always a hand reaching out, inviting you to join in. The question is, will you take it? Let's talk about something incredibly powerful, the questions we ask. This brings us to the law of two, which I also call the law of inquiry. This law is so simple yet so profound. It states that life is a mirror, a respondent. It doesn't give you what you want necessarily. It gives you answers to the questions you are asking, both consciously and unconsciously. And here's the most important part. Your truest questions are not the words you speak, but the actions you take. Your life today is the answer to the questions you have been asking with your choices, your habits, and your focus. If you are constantly taking actions rooted in fear and scarcity, hoarding your resources, avoiding risks, doubting your abilities, your unspoken question to the universe is, why is life so hard? Why isn't there enough for me? And life, through the law of inquiry, will faithfully provide you with experiences that confirm that reality. It will show you lack. It will present you with obstacles, because that is the inquiry you are putting out into the world. You are asking to see the evidence of scarcity, and life will provide it. This isn't a punishment, it's a direct response. Now, imagine what happens when you start asking different questions with your actions. What if you begin to act from a place of curiosity, generosity, and courage? What if your actions ask, what wonderful things can I create today? How can I connect with others in a meaningful way? What is the next right step for my growth? When you take a small step towards a dream, you are asking, is this possible for me? When you choose kindness in a difficult moment, you are asking, can love transform this situation? Your actions become the inquiry. This is why it is so crucial to become conscious of the why behind what you do. Before you make a choice, pause and ask yourself, what question is this action asking? Are you asking for confirmation of your fears, or are you asking for an expansion of your possibilities? This shifts everything. You move from being a passive recipient of circumstances to an active co-creator of your reality. The law of two invites us to become master questioners, to use our actions, our energy, and our focus to inquire about the highest and best possibilities for our lives. And you can trust that life will always answer. Oh, this next one is a delicate dance, one that I know I have had to learn over and over again in my own life. It's the law of three, and it deals with one of the trickiest balancing acts we face, knowing the difference between perseverance and plain old stubbornness. This law suggests that for any significant endeavor, you should give it 3 genuine, wholehearted attempts. 3 tries where you give it your all, where you are fully invested, where you learn and adapt and push forward with everything you've got. This is the energy of perseverance. It's the refusal to give up at the first or even second sign of difficulty. Perseverance is honorable. It's what builds character and creates masterpieces. It's the force that allows us to achieve things that seem impossible. Without it, no great dream would ever be realized. So we must give our goals the respect of a true effort. The first attempt might be a learning experience. The second attempt, you apply those lessons. The third attempt is where you bring all your wisdom, all your strength, and all your heart to the table. You are showing the universe and yourself that you are serious about this. You are not just dabbling, you are committed. But here is where the wisdom of this law truly shines. If, after 3 genuine soul-deep efforts, the door remains firmly shut, if the path is blocked at every turn and the energy is just not flowing, it may be time to pause and consider another possibility. This may not be a call to try harder, but a call to surrender. This is not giving up. It is a wise and courageous release. It's recognizing that your energy might be better used elsewhere. Stubbornness is continuing to push against a locked door when the universe is trying to show you there's an open window right around the corner. Learning this distinction is a mark of true maturity. It requires humility and a deep trust in a wisdom greater than our own ego. Sometimes what we think we want isn't what's truly for our highest good, or maybe the timing just isn't right. The Law of Three gives us a framework. It encourages us to be warriors for our dreams, to fight the good fight with passion and resolve. But it also gives us permission to let go with grace, to surrender the outcome, and to trust that when one door closes, it is only to guide us toward a path that is more aligned with our soul's true journey. Have you ever been in a room where someone walks in and without them saying a word, the entire energy of the space shifts? Maybe it lifts and suddenly everyone feels lighter and more joyful. Or maybe it drops and a feeling of tension or heaviness descends. This phenomenon is a perfect illustration of our next law, the law of communicating vessels. This principle, borrowed from physics, suggests that when 2 vessels are connected, a liquid will flow between them until it reaches a state of equilibrium. In human terms, our energies are the liquid, and our interactions are the connection. We are all energetic beings, constantly broadcasting a frequency out into the world. This energy is made up of our thoughts, our emotions, our health, and our spiritual state. When we interact with another person, our energy fields connect. And just like the liquid in the vessels, there is an exchange. If your energy is high, vibrant, and positive, you can literally lift the energy of someone who is feeling low. And the reverse is also true. If you are not mindful, spending time with someone who is in a very negative or depleted state can drain your own vitality. This is not about judging others as good or bad energy. It's about being aware of the dynamics at play. It's about understanding that you are both a transmitter and a receiver of energy in every single interaction. This awareness is power. It empowers you to become a conscious steward of your own energetic state. You can ask yourself, what energy am I bringing into this conversation? Into my home? Into my workplace? You have the ability to be a fountain, not a drain. To be someone who uplifts and inspires others just by the nature of your presence. It also means you must protect your own energy. It's vital to know when you need to recharge your own batteries. This is why practices like meditation, spending time in nature, listening to music, or just having quiet time alone are not luxuries. They are necessities. They are how you refill your own vessel so that you have more to give. The law of communicating vessels reminds us that our most important work is to manage our own inner state, because the energy we cultivate within is the gift we ultimately offer to the world. This next law is perhaps one of the most well-known, a principle that echoes through ancient wisdom and modern science alike. It is the law of cause and effect, often stated as what you sow, you shall reap. But I want to invite you to think about it in a new way today. I want you to see yourself as a gardener and your life as the garden. Every single thought you think is a seed. Every action you take is you planting that seed in the soil of your existence. You simply cannot plant tomato seeds and expect to harvest cucumbers. It's an immutable law of nature. The thoughts we cultivate in the garden of our minds are incredibly powerful. If you are consistently planting seeds of doubt, fear, resentment, or negativity, what kind of harvest do you think you will yield? You will find yourself living in a garden filled with weeds of unhappiness, conflict, and disappointment. You will look around and wonder why your life feels so difficult, not realizing that you have been tending to the very conditions you despise. The universe isn't punishing you, it's simply reflecting the nature of the seeds you've planted. But here is the glorious, liberating truth of this law. You have the power to choose what you plant. At any moment, you can decide to start sowing different seeds. You can choose to plant seeds of gratitude, kindness, forgiveness, and love. You can cultivate thoughts of abundance and possibility. Now, this doesn't mean you'll never have a negative thought again. We all do. The work is not to get rid of the weeds entirely, but to stop watering them. It's about consciously choosing to tend to the flowers instead. Where you place your focus, your energy, and your intention, that is what will grow. This law calls for radical responsibility. It asks us to look at the effects in our lives, our relationships, our health, our finances, our joy, and trace them back to the causes, which are our thoughts and actions. It can be a hard pill to swallow sometimes, to admit our own role in creating our circumstances. But it is also the most empowering realization you can ever have. Because if you are the one who planted the garden, you are also the one with the power to pull the weeds, till the soil, and plant something new, something beautiful, something that will bear the fruit of a joyful and fulfilling life. Have you ever tried to change a habit or a pattern in your life, and it just felt impossible? You pushed and you struggled, but you kept falling back into the old way of being. And then, one day, something shifted. Without a huge effort, you just stopped. The desire was gone. You were simply done. That moment, that tipping point, is what the law of saturation is all about. This law teaches us that true, lasting change doesn't happen through brute force. It happens when we have become completely and totally saturated with the experience of the old way. Think of a sponge. You can drip water onto it for a long time and it just keeps absorbing it. But there comes a point when it can hold no more. It is completely saturated. The very next drop of water will cause it to release. Our consciousness works in a similar way. We can tolerate a negative pattern, a limiting belief, or an unhealthy situation for a long, long time. We absorb the pain, the frustration, the discontent. We keep telling ourselves, it's not that bad or I can handle it. We are soaking it all in. The point of saturation is the moment of enough. It's when every cell in your being says, I cannot and will not live this way for one more second. It's not an intellectual decision as much as it is a deep, visceral, soul-level knowing. It's the moment the pain of staying the same finally becomes greater than the fear of changing. This is a sacred point. It's the moment of surrender, not of giving up, but of giving in to the truth that this pattern no longer serves you. It's when you are finally ready to let it go completely. So if you're struggling to change something in your life right now, maybe the invitation isn't to fight harder. Maybe it's to get really honest with yourself, to allow yourself to fully feel the consequences of the current pattern. Don't numb it, don't distract yourself from it. Let yourself become saturated with the reality of it. It is often in that deep marination of our own discontent that we find the true power to release the old and make space for the new. The law of saturation shows us that our greatest breakthroughs often come not from fighting the darkness, but from finally becoming so full of it that we have no choice but to turn towards the light. We've talked about planting seeds and asking questions, and this next law, the law of generation, brings it all together in a powerful way. This law states that we are, by our very nature, creators. We are constantly generating our life experiences, whether we do it consciously or not. Life isn't something that just happens to us. It is something that flows us and is shaped by us. The energy that creates worlds is flowing through you at this very moment, and it takes the form of your thoughts, your beliefs, your words, and your actions. You are the artist, and your life is your canvas. Many people go through life believing they are just a product of their circumstances. They think, this is just the way I am, or this is just my lot in life. But the law of generation challenges that belief at its core. It tells us that our inner world generates our outer world. The beliefs you hold about yourself and about life act as a blueprint. Your reality will then construct itself around that blueprint. If you hold a deep, core belief that you are unworthy of love, you will generate experiences that seem to prove that belief true. You might attract partners who don't treat you well or push away those who do. The incredible news is that you can change the blueprint. You can begin the work of generating a new reality by consciously choosing new thoughts and new beliefs. This is not just wishful thinking, it is a creative process. It starts with a vision. What kind of life do you truly want to generate? What does it feel like? What does it look like? Get specific. Feel the feelings of that reality now. This is the act of creating the energetic blueprint. You are giving the universe new instructions for what to build. Then you must align your actions with that new blueprint. You have to start acting you are already the person living that life. If you want to generate a life of health and vitality, you begin to take actions that a healthy, vital person would take. You move your body, you nourish it with good food, you get enough rest. Each action is a brushstroke on the canvas of your life, bringing your vision into form. The law of generation is the ultimate invitation to step into your power. It reminds you that you are not a victim of fate, but a master of creation. What will you choose to generate today? Our next law touches upon the very fabric of our relationships and interactions. It's the law of compensation, and it's all about the natural balance of giving and receiving. Life is in a constant state of seeking equilibrium. For every action, there is a reaction. For every output, there is an input. This law reminds us that we receive in proportion to what we give. But here's the key. It's not just about giving things. It's about giving of your energy, your time, your joy, your kindness, your talents, and your love without expecting a direct transactional return. Think of it like breathing. You cannot only inhale and you cannot only exhale. To live, you must do both. Inhaling is receiving, taking in life, support, abundance, and love. Exhaling is giving, sharing your gifts, your help, your compassion. Many of us are out of balance. Some of us are chronic overgivers. We exhale, exhale, exhale until we are completely depleted, running on empty, and often feeling resentful because we feel no one is giving back to us. We forget that it is our responsibility to inhale, to open ourselves up to receive. On the other hand, some of us have a hard time giving freely. We operate from a place of scarcity, afraid that if we give something away, there won't be enough left for us. We hold on tightly to our time, our resources, our affection. We are trying to only inhale, and we end up feeling stagnant and disconnected because the flow of life requires circulation. The law of compensation teaches us that true abundance is found not in hoarding, but in flow. The more you give of your authentic self, the more life compensates you, often in unexpected and wonderful ways. The compensation might not come from the person you gave to. You might give kindness to a stranger, and then later that day, an unexpected opportunity comes your way. You give your full, focused energy to a project, and you are compensated with a deep sense of fulfillment and pride. The universe has its own beautiful and complex accounting system. Your job is simply to find the joy in giving for its own sake, to contribute your unique light to the world, and at the same time, to have the grace and self-worth to open your arms wide and say thank you when life wants to give back to you. That is the sacred, life-sustaining rhythm of compensation. Now, this law is so beautiful because it speaks to the heart of our connection with one another. It's the law of sharing. This law tells us that when we share something good, whether it's joy, knowledge, or a physical resource, it doesn't diminish what we have. In fact, it multiplies it. Think about lighting a candle. If you have one lit candle and you use it to light another person's candle, does your flame get any smaller? No. In fact, the room just got twice as bright. That is the magic of sharing. Your joy, when shared, doesn't get cut in half. It doubles. So often, we can be protective of our good news or our happy moments. We might worry that sharing our success will make others feel jealous, or we might feel, on some level, that we have to hoard our happiness to keep it safe. But the law of sharing invites us into a different way of being. It encourages us to see our blessings not just as personal possessions, but as gifts that are meant to flow through us and out into the world. When you share a story of a recent triumph, you might be giving someone else the spark of hope they needed to keep going on their own path. Sharing is also about being a conduit for wisdom and information. When you learn something that has helped you, something that has made your life better, the natural next step is to share it with someone who might benefit. This is how humanity has evolved. We don't all have to learn every lesson the hard way. We can stand on the shoulders of those who came before us, and we can offer our own shoulders for others to stand on. By sharing what you know, you deepen your own understanding and you contribute to the collective pool of wisdom. This law also works with our challenges. When we share our struggles in a safe and supportive space, something miraculous happens. The burden feels lighter. We feel less alone, and often the person we share with has been through something similar and can offer the very words of comfort or piece of advice we needed to hear. Sharing creates connection. It breaks down the walls of isolation and reminds us of our shared humanity. So I ask you, what good thing can you share today? A smile, a piece of knowledge, a story of your own journey? Don't hold it in. Let it out and watch the light grow. Let's delve into a law that explains so much about the people and situations we find in our lives. It's the law of affinity, which is the principle that attracts like. You may have heard this as the law of attraction, but I want us to look at it through the lens of resonance and vibration. Everything in the universe, including you, is vibrating at a certain frequency. This frequency is determined by your dominant thoughts, feelings, and beliefs. The law of affinity states that you will naturally attract people, circumstances, and experiences that are a vibrational match to your own inner state. Have you ever noticed how people with a similar sense of humor seem to find each other? Or how people who are passionate about a particular cause tend to form communities? That is the law of affinity at work. It's like a cosmic tuning fork. If you are vibrating with the energy of optimism and possibility, you will resonate with and attract other optimistic people and opportunities that reflect that belief. Your energy acts as a magnet, drawing to you that which is in harmony with it. This can be a confronting law to consider, because it means we have to look at the difficult or negative patterns in our lives and ask, what in me is a vibrational match to this? If you consistently find yourself in relationships with people who are critical, there may be a part of you, your own inner critic, that is vibrating at that same frequency. If you constantly experience financial lack, it might be reflecting a deep-seated belief in scarcity. The outer world is a mirror, showing you the nature of your own inner vibration. But this is where the power lies. This law is not about blame, it is about empowerment. Because you have the ability to change your frequency. You are not stuck. You can consciously choose to cultivate different thoughts and feelings. You can choose gratitude over complaint. You can choose forgiveness over resentment. You can choose self-love over self-criticism. As you begin to shift your inner state, your vibrational frequency changes. And as your frequency changes, the law of affinity dictates that your outer reality must change to match it. You will begin to attract new people, new situations, and new possibilities that are in harmony with the new you. This next law is so essential for growth, yet it's one we often resist. It is the law of empty spaces, and it teaches a simple but profound truth. Nature abhors a vacuum. This means that if you want to bring something new into your life, a new relationship, a new job, new opportunities, new peace of mind, you must first create an empty space for it to occupy. You cannot pour fresh water into a cup that is already full. You must first empty it. Think about your closet. If it is crammed full of old clothes that you never wear, that no longer fit, or that you don't even like, there is literally no room for new clothes to come in. The act of cleaning out that closet, of letting go of the old, creates the physical and energetic space for the new. The universe sees that empty space and rushes to fill it. This principle applies to every single area of our lives. Are you holding on to a job that drains your soul? You are leaving no room for a career that could light you up. Are you clinging to a relationship that is no longer healthy? You are blocking the path for a love that could truly nourish you. Creating empty space can feel scary. The familiar, even when it's uncomfortable, can feel safer than the unknown. We hold on to old beliefs, old hurts, old resentments, because on some level they have become a part of our identity. Letting them go means stepping into a void, and that requires faith. It requires trusting that something better is waiting to fill that space. It is an act of declaring to the universe, I am ready for something new. I am making room for the blessings that are meant for me. So I invite you to look around your life. Where are you holding on? What are you tolerating that no longer serves your highest good? This could be physical clutter in your home. It could be mental clutter like old worries and limiting beliefs. It could be emotional clutter, like unforgiven grievances. The law of empty spaces urges you to have the courage to let go, to clean out the closets of your life. Trust that the universe is abundant and that it is waiting, with arms full of gifts for you to simply make room to receive them. We now arrive at a law that I believe is the most powerful and transformative of all. It underlies every other law and holds the key to a life of grace and miracles. It is the law of the option of love. This law states that in any given moment, no matter the circumstance, no matter the challenge, no matter the pain, we always have two fundamental choices: to react from a place of fear or to respond from a place of love. That's it. Every complex decision, every difficult interaction boils down to this one simple choice. Fear is the voice of the ego. It's the voice that tells you to protect yourself, to attack, to judge, to contract, to build walls. Fear is what fuels anger, resentment, jealousy, and despair. When we choose fear, we create separation. separation from others, and separation from our own true selves. A reaction from fear tightens our world. It makes it smaller, harder, and more painful. It's the path of resistance, and it always leads to more suffering for ourselves and for others. Love, on the other hand, is the voice of the soul. It is the choice to expand, to connect, to understand, to forgive, to be compassionate. Responding from a place of love doesn't always mean you agree with someone or condone their behavior. Love can be fierce. It can mean setting a firm boundary, but doing it with respect and for the highest good of all involved, rather than from a place of anger or revenge. Love is the choice that seeks healing and connection, not victory. Making the choice for love is a moment-by-moment practice. It's a conscious decision that we have to make over and over again. When someone cuts you off in traffic, you have the option of fear, anger, frustration, or the option of love, taking a deep breath, sending them well wishes on their hurried journey. When you make a mistake, you have the option of fear, self-criticism, shame, or the option of love, self-forgiveness, seeing it as a lesson. The law of the option of love is our greatest freedom. It reminds us that while we cannot always control what happens to us, we always have the power to choose how we respond. And that choice determines everything. Our final law for today is the one that ties everything together. It's the destination that all the other laws are trying to guide us toward. It is the law of understanding. This law teaches us that information is not the same as knowledge, and knowledge is not the same as understanding. You can read every book on these laws, you can memorize them, you can talk about them brilliantly. That's information. You might even start to see how they work in your life and apply them occasionally. That's knowledge. But understanding is different. Understanding is when the law moves from your head to your heart. It's when it becomes a part of your being. It's when you no longer have to try to apply the law because it has become your natural way of seeing and being in the world. You don't just know that cause and effect is real. You feel the weight and power of your thoughts and actions in every moment. You don't just know you have the option of love. You automatically look for the loving response because the path of fear no longer makes any sense to you. This level of understanding cannot be rushed. It is earned through experience. It is the fruit of living these laws, of stumbling and getting back up, of paying attention to the lessons life presents to you over and over again. It's the wisdom that comes when you have seen the law of warning play out so many times that you finally learn to listen to the whisper. It's the peace that comes when you have cleaned out enough empty spaces to know, with unshakable faith, that the universe will always provide. True understanding leads to a profound sense of peace and freedom. You stop fighting with reality. You learn to work with these laws, to flow with the current of life instead of constantly trying to swim against it. You see the perfection in the journey, even in its most challenging moments. You understand that everything is happening for you, for your growth, for your evolution, for the awakening of your own magnificent soul. The goal of this journey isn't just to learn the laws, but to live them so fully that you become a living embodiment of their wisdom. That is the path of the master. That is the path of understanding. We have been on quite a journey together today, haven't we? We've explored these incredible, powerful laws that are shaping our lives every single moment. From the gentle whispers of the law of warning to the profound choice offered by the law of love, these principles are not just abstract ideas. They are practical tools. They are a compass for the soul, designed to guide us toward a life of greater purpose, deeper connection, and more authentic joy. My deepest hope is that this conversation has sparked something within you, an aha moment that illuminates a part of your own life in a new way. The real work, the beautiful work, begins now. It begins when you turn off this video and step back into your life. I encourage you to take some time for quiet reflection. Pick one law, just one that resonated with you the most today. Maybe it's the law of empty spaces, and you realize it's time to clean out that closet, literally or metaphorically. Or perhaps it's the law of cause and effect, and you want to become more conscious of the seeds you are planting with your thoughts. Ask yourself, how is this law showing up in my life right now? How can I begin to align myself with it more consciously? Remember, this is not about perfection. It's about awareness. It's a practice. Every day is a new opportunity to listen more closely, to choose more lovingly, and to create more consciously. By engaging with these laws, you are sending a powerful message to the universe that you are ready to be a co-creator of your destiny. You are ready to transform your challenges into your greatest triumphs and to unlock the magnificent potential that has been inside you all along. Thank you for sharing this time with me. Go out and live your life on purpose.